So, if you know me, you know I love gators. And a big portion of this video is going to be about localizing your practice, and I, cross my heart and hope to die, will not be showing you any gators in this video. Well, except for this one. Oh, look how cute he is. Such a cute little weapon of mammalian destruction. Oh. Okay. That's the quota. Let's get into this. Howdy folks, the name's Jules, and we're going to be talking about personalizing and localizing your practice. Now, to start, let's talk real quick about practice. Why do we even call it that? It seems like an odd title for something that isn't a skill or art. Well, I am here to tell you that you are thinking about your practice wrong. It's called practice, because it is practice. Every prayer, every ritual, every offering is you participating and strengthening your connections to the gods, the wights, and your ancestors. That's why it gets easier over time, and when you fall out of practice, you get scared, or it doesn't feel the same. It's like riding a bike. You'll always be able to get back on the bike and ride, but the fancy tricks may be a bit more daunting after a break. Practices, like beliefs, should change over time. As you practice, you find your spiritual footing and get into a rhythm of what you like to do and how often you like to do it. But no matter what you fall into, your practice will change as you do. And of course, perfect practice makes perfect. But perfect is an illusory concept, and the pursuit of it is so incredibly unhealthy and a capitalistic failing of our society, so better practice makes better. And how do you make heathenry work better for you? Well, by personalizing your practice. Now, you might say, but Jules, I am a dedicated reconstructionist. How can I, in good conscience, change what the objective heathens wrote? No, I can't dabble in filthy eclecticism. Ugh. 1. Cool story, bro. 2. Look, your practice is your key to the relationship between you, the gods, wights, and your ancestors. If you want to be bearing your mortal soul to all of them without any self-expression mixed in, be my guest, but I think some looseness in the structure of your practice is, at the very least, healthy. And 3, as far as for localization goes, we will make it there soon, I promise. The land and the spirits in and upon it were part of the daily lives of all the Iron Age heathens who birthed this religion. It would be a disservice to yourself not to connect to the land around you, and as people, we have a responsibility to be good stewards to our land, and that can't happen if you don't foster a relationship with it. Cool! So, we know why we should do these things, but we still ain't heard the how to do these things? Well, here you are. You don't think you could have waited just a little longer for me to get there? Ugh, SMH. So, for personalizing your practice, a few things to do. Try and mix things up every now and again with your practice. Healthy experimentation keeps a practice fresh, reduces burnout, and hey, you never know how much more you're gonna like the 42nd thing you try than the 41st. You just gotta walk there first. Might need to hitchhike, it may be too far to walk. If you get that reference, great. If you don't worry about it. It was really, really hammed in there. Another thing I highly recommend is allowing your passion and practice interaction. There are a couple ways you can do this. For one, you can do devotional acts. I've talked about devotional acts before, but it bears repeating. Devotional acts are ways that your passions can become a part of your relationship with your gods. In much the same way that friendships grow closer when they have a shared passion, sharing your desires and passions with the gods fosters a closer relationship with them. Another option being the offering of your arts or crafts, the difference being that the offering being in a finished work rather than in the process itself. A great example of this would be offering poetry for Bragi. There is very few and very tenuous sources on this, but there is at least something. mostly an account from Tacitus about a song that may possibly be an offering, but that's still really damn vague. But as modern practice, it's valid as shit and honestly based. Now, the most important thing for making your practice personal and impactful to you is the localization of your practice. I will not qualify that statement outside of it's a great statement. There are no heathens today that live in Iron Age Scandinavia. The people who we are reconstructing this religion from made the associations and correlations they did of the wights and the land and their gods, because that was what was around them. That was the world they lived in. It follows that in reconstructing the religion, a focus on your own world around you would be the way to go about things. So, let's talk about a few ways that you can localize your practice. For this section, I'm going to use Florida as an example, because that's where I am. Localization. Holidays are a great place to start. A large portion of pagan holidays are based on the seasons and weather patterns of the area they originated in. In Heathenry, we have holidays like Sigurdsblot, Veithurnatar, or Yule. Why? Well, the harshness of winter in Scandinavia is intense, and if there was ever a time to have a more intense gift for the gods or morale boost for the people, it was then. And Sigurdsblot was right at the beginning of summer, the season of prosperity and war, and so celebrating surviving the winter and giving thanks for the prosperity to come just makes sense. But this here's Florida. We ain't got them seasons shit. It's just hot year-round. What we do got, though, is hurricane season and the dry season. So, while I may celebrate Yule or Sigurdsblot, I'm also making time for a big ritual and bloat around the start and end of the hurricane season. In Throstjas Vindersblot, or the Tireless Winds Bloat, and Freyerdagar, or Freyer's Day. In Throstjas Vindersblot is a bloat that I intend to perform for the first time next June, and will include appeasements to Aegir and Ran, for the ocean which powers the storms are their domain, Kari, a little-known wind god, and an appeasement to Bylethers, a thirst of storms, and Loki's brother. And at the end of the tumultuous hurricane season, when our calm and comfortable autumns and winters begin, a day of celebration to Freyr. Him and his sister are the keystones in the archway that is my hearth cult, and with him comes sunshine and fair weather, the best way to describe Florida's winters and late falls. And that's just the start. For me personally, I want to do more around red tide and other shit, but for y'all, the takeaway is, when these celebrations are tied to your land and your home, the rituals quickly move from symbolic to nature to something much more tangible and personal. The next portion of localization will be being a steward for your land and giving offering and respect to the land wights around you. One big part of this is finding the places of particular importance around you. Clearly, everywhere in the land is valued and connected, but some places foster more connections than others. The spirit for me with the most connections is that of the Floridan Aquifer. This is a massive underground body of water, bigger than the entire state and providing 90% of the drinking water in the state. And it's dying. It's drying out, it's getting polluted from groundwater, we are pulling too much water from it, and it's becoming oversalinated as sea levels rise. So, offerings to the aquifer is great. It's all around me. It has nurtured me for literally my entire life through its waters. But it needs more help than that. Part of being a responsible steward of the land means making changes to further better the land. As for me, that means using water responsibly, disposing of groundwater contaminants correctly, clearing litter whenever I see it, and planting drought-resistant native fauna when I have the spoons, funds, and space to do so. Having a tangible impact on the land is one of the best ways to foster a relationship with the wights that live there. Not saying you have to if you don't have the spoons, or that your relationship will be diminished if you can't. But if you can, it is a truly spiritually enriching experience. Lastly, and this step is necessary, You have to make sure that the things that you offer are safe for the flora and fauna around you. You don't want to offer poison to the spirits. The best example I can give you is that the areas around me are chock full of waterfowl and wading birds. Now, these birds, like most birds, they fucking love bread. Like, they love bread. They love it so fucking much. But it causes them serious pain and illness if they consume it or consume too much of it. So, my offerings to the land wights consist of grains or honey and never bread. If you're unsure what is safe to offer, just offer water till you can find resources about what might be harmful to your environment. Next thing you can do, re-examine the creatures and plants associated with the gods. The aminals and plantimals that the gods are associated with are, again, the common creatures and plants around Iron Age Scandinavia and Germany that were a part of their life. Maybe not daily life, maybe a little more rare than that at times, but they were around. And our gods, their power reaches across the globe, so finding something closer to home than the forest cats of Norway is not creating fluff in your practice. So, let's take one example and explore how connections happen. My example will again rest in Freyr. You know I love you, boss. In the process of making this video, I have created a new association with Freyr. Manatees. That's right. Freyr and manatees. Let's break it down. Freyr is a god of peace. He is strong, but he's chosen love over war. Freyr is a god of fertility, the rain and sunshine of a pleasant spring, and the master of seasons. Manatees keep vegetation from overgrowing. They keep waterways clear and fertilize water plants. Fertility/caretaking? Check. Manatees are incredibly peaceful and docile creatures, despite immense muscles in their powerful tails. Strength but gentleness? Check. Manatees have no defensive behavioral responses. I mean, no natural predators will do that to you. So, when in danger, they just swim to shallow water. They still don't fight. Peace-loving? Check. And manatees migrate from the western part of the Gulf Coast to the eastern part of the Gulf Coast every winter. A strong association with seasons? Check. Now, it's not always going to be this perfect. I mean, it's hardly ever going to be this perfect, but I mean, come on. That's great. Now. Let me say that one more time. Now, whenever I see one of these big tubs of love floating around, I can see the calming presence of my god. Lastly, let's talk about localizing your Ancestor Veneration. This may seem far-fetched, but hear me out. The land around you is sacred. You, as a human being, are tasked as the steward of your land. Those who came before you in this task are your ancestors, your predecessors in such a monumental task. This, as well as the people around you, are as much a part of your locale as anything else. We're all made of the same bits. So, how would I even do that? Well, look into maybe important historical figures that were from or lived where you are at. Local legends, especially those who are connected to what you do, or are connected to the caretaking of the land or the peoples on it. Furthermore, for individual practitioners here in the States, it may be good to look into the tribes that had been stewards of the land where you are at before you. Ancestors here in the States have done a lot of fucked up shit, especially the destruction of the land and the slaughter and forced relocation of the tribes who lived and continue to live here. These tribes have cared for this land longer than the direct ancestors of... These tribes have cared for this land longer than the direct ancestors of any of us who are not from the tribes had even known that this land had existed. It seems only appropriate that we honor them for caring for this sacred land as long as they could. Don't use that as an excuse to appropriate shit for their veneration, but give them the respect and reverence they deserve. Alright, that's it. I was gonna say this has already been too long, but actually this is about just where I kind of want a video to be at. This is a good amount of time. To my witchy friends who made it all the way through a completely heathen video, thank you. you're gonna have to wait for more witchy shit, because I'm gonna be doing some more saga readings before I do any more original content shit like this, because oh my gosh, it's so fucking spoon intensive. But like a thought puzzle for you, think about these processes in your own praxis, localization with things like an herbalism practice or your spirit work practice could be really important. Big shout out to Torinin, aka Forfeta. They made this sick ass alligator logo for me, and they make cool art and shit, and links in the description below. Go help them out and support their shit. Alright. Shameless plug over. Buying for a little more time. Give me some more of those sweet watch minutes. Okay, we're done. It's good to be back, guys. If you done liked what you listened to, then consider giving it a like. Hit that like button. And if you want to see more stuff like this, or more readings of the saga or other shit, you want to see what I do, check out my channel. Just hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and it'll make me feel a little bit happier. So, that's a win. Alright. Thank you all for watching, and remember, take care, and take it easy.